Welcome back, everyone, to Let's Talk Manufacturing. I'm your host, Rick Jenkins. As I mentioned, today's episode is brought to you by AFL. They are a leading global provider of optic solutions for broadband networks, data centers, and other applications. A couple months ago, Mark Bullock, the president of product solutions for AFL, joined me on an episode of Let's Talk Business. He provided a great overview of what's happening over there. A link to that interview is in the comments section below. I encourage you to check that out when you can. Let's Talk Manufacturing is produced in conjunction with the South Carolina Manufacturing Extension Partnership, and now it's time to spend 5 minutes with the CEO at SCMEP, Andy Carr. Welcome to the show, Andy.
Rick, thank you. It's good to be here.
It is good to have you here, pal. I haven't seen you in a little while. It's always good to spend a few minutes with you. We're going to talk about practical analytics here in just a minute. Gimba Systems is going to be here. AFL Conductor Accessories is going to be here. We're going to be talking about that, and I'm going to get to that in a second. But first, I want to talk about kind of technology in general. It seems that technology, moving fast and furious, it never stops. It keeps coming. It keeps coming. I mean, everything from cobots, collaborative robots, to predictive analytics, to virtual reality, on and on and on. Okay, I could go. If I'm a plant manager, I think that I might pull my hair out thinking, where do I go first? What do I do? How do they decide?
Good thing. So, probably not what you want to hear, Rick, off the bat is my advice to them is we don't focus on the technology.
Yeah.
Always focus on the problem that you're trying to solve.
Yeah.
People get attracted by the shiny objects, they get attracted by the hype, and you end up in a situation where it becomes technology for technology's sake. And those usually turn into boat anchors, expensive boat anchors at a manufacturing facility. So having a real clarity around about the issue, the problem, or the key performance indicator, what needle are you trying to move? And really, really understand that, and then take a step back and say, well, what of those new advanced manufacturing technologies that are out there may help us in solving that issue? So that's what I always encourage people to do is take that step back and do that.
Yeah, that's great advice, and I never thought about it that way, but you're exactly right. Adopting a technology for the sake of adopting a technology certainly doesn't make sense. Good advice. Now, if people do want to, they know I've got a challenge here, and I know to resolve it that I probably need to adopt this certain type of technology. You all, of course, at SCMEP can help do that. You all, I think, last year started a new type of assessment for Industry 4.0 tech. Tell me about that.
Yeah, right. If you know SCMEP, we always love to start, any engagement with a client by using an assessment of some sort. Yeah. We've had our competitiveness review for many years to get that 30,000-foot picture of the business. But with all the new advanced manufacturing technologies that have come along, we wanted to be able to dive deeper in that specific area with a manufacturer. So, yes, last year we had launched our Advanced Manufacturing Technology Assessment. I think we've done about 30 of them to date. And that really is, again, about having a conversation with the manufacturer to understand where they are, what they're ready for, their current level of technology adoption. But it's a wide-ranging conversation because it looks at all the things that will influence the success of that one. So, we'll talk to them about their leadership. We'll talk to them about their strategy. We'll talk to them about their operations, their growth plans, and also the culture of the company. Is it a company that's going to readily accept and embrace advanced manufacturing technology, or there are other areas that need to be focused on before that? Again, it's about making sure that it's successful and the money is well spent and that there's a return on investment. But you can't just go drop those technologies in tomorrow and expect optimum results.
So what does it cost if somebody needs an assessment?
It's absolutely free, right?
Absolutely
At SCMEP,
free.
We love our assessments. But again, due to their funding model, part federally funded, part state funded, we're always there to do the assessments at absolutely no cost to the manufacturer.
And I knew it was free. That's why I asked. Let's get back to the technology for a second. It makes perfect sense that people ought to solve a challenge or think about solving a challenge without choosing a tech. But let's talk about the tech. Give me, what are the most used, most popular technologies that manufacturers are using?
Yeah. So from our perspective, Rick, and we saw this way before the hype and all the hyperbole that we've seen recently, was artificial intelligence. We were very fortunate to bring on 2 third-party providers a few years ago that operate in that space, Rick Pedisano and the Delta Bravo guys. from Rock Hill, and then Mo Abu Ali and IoTco from Cleveland, Ohio. And we've probably done about 25 to 30 projects in that area. What the technology that those guys brought to the marketplace allowed manufacturers to reduce the amount of off quality, so to be able to process huge amounts of data and see trends between the processes and the results they were getting and identify where problems lay, and then also to be able to take, again, large amounts of data and predict when equipment was about to fail. So ensuring the manufacturing process equipment has a higher uptime and is available to run when it's needed to run. So we've seen that starting again about maybe 6 years ago, artificial intelligence solutions in that area. It's become a buzzword for the public recently, but for manufacturers, they've been embracing this technology for some time now.
That's right. There are challenges associated with AI in a bunch of industries, but of course it makes perfect sense in the manufacturing world. Let's talk about practical analytics for a second. Stijn van der Velde, CEO of Gimba Systems, is going to join us here in a second to talk about it. But define practical analytics for us.
Well, I know Stijn's going to do that a much better job, and again with another sexy European accent. But I think, Rick, where it goes back to on that one is Peter Drucker, or it's been attributed to Peter Drucker. Many years ago, he said, "What gets measured, gets managed." So we are currently living in a time where there's a lot of data. We're very data rich these days. And it's actually to the point where it can be overwhelming. What I always like to think when I was in there to remember is that, most of us humans, we don't use data, we use information. And I think what Stijn will take you through there is practical analytics are taking all that data, bringing it together and actually putting it into the format where it's useful for humans to be able to understand it, to interpret it, to make decisions about it, and then monitor the outcome of those decisions. So, making it digestible. Just, computers run really well on data. Humans, it's much more about information, particularly if you're running a manufacturing facility or managing a function within that. That's what you want to be able to do, is have really good, timely data that's understandable and actionable.
Good stuff. You got a couple of things going on, and I'll get you out of here on this, but I want to hear about a couple things. One, there's a new webinar of interest to manufacturers. You and I talked about it, and it's called the SCMEP 2.0. Please, I don't know what it is. Tell me about that.
Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification, which is for manufacturers that operate in the defense industrial base. It's a new requirement, or a requirement that's about to be launched. It's been in development for a good number of years now, that it will be a requirement in order to be able to supply components to the Department of Defense. So looking for cybersecurity there. And that's on March 27th. We will actually be doing that. Again, free webinar, but just to provide those manufacturers that are interested, and we've helped a good number in the last few years, actually come up to speed and find out what the very latest developments in that standard are.
Andy, appreciate it, man.
Great. Thank you.
Always enjoy talking to Andy Carr, CEO at SCMEP, and as I've said many times before, manufacturers in the state of South Carolina don't have a better friend than Andy and his team over at the Manufacturing Extension Partnership. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 60 seconds, and I'll be joined by Stijn van der Velde. He is the CEO at Gimba Systems, and we're going to be talking about practical analytics. Be right back.